Hello, everyone. Good evening to everyone in India, and good morning to everyone in the US. Just before we start our program today, we have our thoughts and prayers with those families who have just lost their loved ones in the tragic accident which happened in Ahmedabad. So, prayers with them before we begin our show today. Uh, so, in today's episode, we are speaking again about the new economy. So, this will be a follow up session from our past weeks. Sir has discussed, we had a guest, Mr. John, last week. Uh, again, we'll be continuing with the topic. So, those who have new listeners in today's week, new economy is a concept where, it's a shift from the normal modern economy which we have, which is uh, because of the rise of digital technologies, globalization, and increasing importance of knowledge. So new economy basically concentrates on the drivers of growth, of environment sustainability, and basically the motto is to serve people, planet, and it emphasizes on purpose. If you're a student or an entrepreneur, or a policy enthusiast, or just a curious person who wants to know like what lies in the future ahead of us, this session will be interesting for you. Welcome again to those who have joined us this week. Without further ado, I would now request Sam sir to address our audience. Thank you.
Thank you, Priyamvada. Thank you, Upendra. I want to join Priyamvada in conveying my condolences to all those people who lost their loved ones in this tragic Air India accident in Ahmedabad. Originally, my parents come from Gujarat. I have lots of friends and various cousins and distant cousins from my side as well as from my wife's side in Ahmedabad. So we have been busy last 2 3 days talking to various people and understanding their emotions, their fear, their concerns. And this has been a very serious tragedy for people of Ahmedabad. My heart goes out to all of those. I hope they get the strength and family support to weather this tragedy. Like Premvada said, today we are going to be talking about alternate economy. I want to begin by emphasizing that I'm not an economist. I don't have answers. I don't have the expertise, the tools, the technology, but I do have some very strong observations and opinions based on my own personal journey and based on where we are today in the world. Growing up, working in US, doing my work in India, I never realized that this is where we are going to end up when I'm in my mid 80s. Wars are becoming prominent. You've seen what has happened in the last few days between Israel and Iraq, which is alarming in many different ways. And we are basically at crossroads. And I have said this earlier as well. So I want to make some observations with you, and then hopefully we will explore this together because I think the answers lie with common people and perhaps not with global experts. Because global experts don't get into unemployment themselves. They are always well off, make lots of money. They analyze poverty, but they are not poor. They analyze unemployment, they are not unemployed. So people who get affected think a lot about their problems, and they may have solutions that we haven't thought about. So hopefully out of this conversation today, maybe we'll have series of conversations on what people are saying about economy. So I want to first make few observations with you, and then we can have a broader conversation which may last for a session or which may go into multiple sessions. First observation is mainly based on what John Fullerton talked about in his speech, and it has to do with the fact that economy or economics is not an exact science because it requires holistic approach. It affects everything. Like environment affects everything, economy affects everything. Food, water, energy, environment, production, manufacturing, jobs, government, finance, families, health, education. So, unless and until we learn to look at economy more as a holistic approach, compartmentalizing and slicing and dicing economy can take us only so far. Difference between science, the way we understand, and economy is that the science is all about focused approach, fragmented approach, narrow approach, looking at microscopic view, looking at nanoparticles, and trying to go all the way up to atomic and molecules and genetics level to find truth. And then hope that whatever we come up with in science applies to the humanity at large. Whatever comes up as a solution in economy may not apply to economy at large or to people at large. So, to make this more of a science, we have, over a period of time, developed many theories, equations, formulas to really package economy as a science. We talk about GDP, GNP, per capita income, balance of trade, trade deficit, foreign exchange reserve, uh, exchange rates, markets, stock markets. And we have all these indicators developed over a period of time by various people looking at various aspects of economy. But sum total, these things don't make much sense to an average person who is looking for a job, who is trying to grow some food, who is trying to send his children to good school. So economy has different dimensions from different people. The banker looks at it one way, investor looks at it another way, industry looks at it third way, government, people, communities, and everyone has their own perception as to how economy is affecting what part of the society. Point number two is ultimately it's all about money. Economy is about money, barter. I can do this for you. What can you do it for me? I can cook for you. Will you feed me? It is that simple. Earlier, it started with barter, then it was gold standard, silver standard, came paper standard. US came up with the idea of World Bank, IMF, all that. And then in 1971, Nixon decided to delink dollar from gold. And that created a whole new world where America could print, essentially. And America now has tens of trillions of debt. Now, who will pay that debt? How will it be paid? When it will be paid? How much is the interest? All this depends and ultimately reflects on present economy. Today, we also measure economy in terms of global trade. What is going on with tariff war is all about global trade. You give me this, I'll charge you that. And this whole business is not very simple to understand. So far, the world trade has been going on in US dollars. Even if you sell something from India to, let's say, Indonesia, the transaction is conducted in dollars. In a sense, it don't make sense, but people still do that. I remember when I worked in Rajiv Gandhi's time, we had, and we still have, trade with Soviet Union then in rupees and ruble, but that was limited, structured in certain way. So today, people are looking at alternative to dollar trade. Dollar trade becomes stronger because it is tied to the petrodollar. So there is a group of countries, BRICS, coming together and talking about developing their own currency. And this has been a great threat to the US dollar. It is perceived threat. It may take long time before it becomes practical. There has been also conversations about basket of currencies. But at the end, there is unlimited supply of printing money. Question is, who has the authority to print? How much you can print? Who stops you from printing more? And then comes this whole new idea of limited supply of money by introducing something called Bitcoin. Bitcoin says that in your paper currency, you can print as much as you want. But when it comes to Bitcoin, you only have 21 million coins. You can break it up and make it 210 million, 1/10. You can break it up further and make, whatever number, 2 billion. But ultimately, there is a limited supply of Bitcoin. And that is intriguing to a lot of people, saying you can't print anymore. What does it mean if you can't print anymore? That means the price of the Bitcoin will go up and down based on demand and supply. And you can't print anymore like you can do today with dollars. And one theory is that this is what you need for a global currency. And there is a movement today to make digital currency as global currency. But then there are many forms of digital currency. There is digital coin that is fixed to a dollar, digital coin that could be fixed to a basket of currencies, local currency, and the global movement of money on one hand gets easier, on the other hand gets very complicated. Then you have the whole business of globalization. Globalization has been around for thousands of years. People traded in spices, silk, boats came from one country to another. So globalization is not a new idea. But the interesting thing is that earlier globalization was more on products. Then came slavery, where you took labor, globalized labor by moving people from one part of the world to another part. You know, millions of people were brought in from Africa to serve on the farms and serve as servants. And that was globalization. Then the big wave was software, which was a globalization where services were globalized. India played an important role in that globalization. And finally came globalization of labor in manufacturing. And China did a great job at that and essentially took over production from rest of the world. And that's when people started worrying about local jobs. People started worrying about the impact of globalization, um, sort of idea of money, because the result was that there was huge amount of income inequality. Jobs in manufacturing were just gone. In many parts of the US, small cities did some production of lot of commodities. Today, that production is gone to China, and these towns are empty. There is no work. Factories are closed, schools are closed. So there is inequality, unemployment, poverty, hunger, homelessness, and ultimately wars. In this system, winner takes it all. And that bothers me more than anything else. Search engine, winner takes it all. Facebook, winner takes it all. Twitter, winner takes it all. E-commerce. So you have these giants created with trillions of dollars in valuation, where one company takes it all, sweeps it, and then rest of the people are twiddling their thumb. This is the kind of economy we have created world over. And I'm more worried about what is coming than what is here. Look at AI. In AI, winner is going to take all. You'll create another giants in AI, but the interesting part of AI is that the impact it will have on water, energy. Where would all these things come from? And who will pay for it? All these giants would want water free, but it is public water. So you're stealing public water, stealing their jobs, making all the profit, and people think they got some facility, they got some technology. You're using their data, using public information, but profit only goes to one company or two companies. So I see with AI further erosion of public property, trust, confidence, and ultimately public asset would be used to benefit only very few. In this kind of an environment, how do you look at economy? So you have the impact of automation around the corner, impact of AI, robotics, which is changing everything. Look at the war. War is going to be changed with drones. Okay. And everything we have been doing as of now is going to be obsolete. Universities are going to be a thing of the past in some way. Education will have a different meaning. Health service will have different meaning. And these technologies, and we talked once about the self-driven car and its impact. And self-driven car is almost here. You know, it may be 5 years before it becomes common. And today, for example, if we are producing 100 million cars all over the world, if there is a self-driven car available anytime, anywhere, I won't own a car. Then all of a sudden, the need for cars will go down, car market will go down, all the showrooms will be down, and you will have, all of a sudden, production which requires only 20 million cars or 10 million cars because nobody will own a car. Nobody will have garage. All the drivers would be out of work. So these things are happening much faster than we think. So in this kind of an environment, what does job mean? And how do you make money to live? Where do you earn? So the question is, who makes money? How money is made? How much money is made by whom? Is a key question in the future. Lots of people have suggested ideas on what to do. But I go back to Gandhian approach in many ways. And I still believe that the answers lies in bottom up development and not top down development. Everything today is top down. AI is top down. Answer lies in decentralization. Answer lies in very tricky balance between localization and globalization. And I see it more as localization, state level, national level, and then globalization. When I look at India, I see 700 districts. Every district ought to be production center of their own, financial center of their own, education center, because every district is almost 2 million people. And we begin to see things only as a nation. And in the process, people at district and state level don't get their due share because we come from top down and not bottom up. The other day, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine here, and in one of our cities in the neighborhood in US, they are trying to build a school, new school, because a lot of young people have moved in this area, and there are a lot of kids uh, who need to go to school. So the school is going to cost $92 million to build, land and building and facility and football and all that stuff. So the question is, who pays for that school? So one of the rich guys said, look, I'm sending my kids to private school. Why should I pay tax to put some private kid to school? And he was very clear. His conscience was, I've taken care of my kids. Why should I take care of somebody else's kids? So in economy, you come across these kinds of views, which are hard to answer at times. How do you fund a school like that? And do you really need $92 million to build a school in this day and age? Is that what the future would demand? So when you talk of bottom-up approach, you really need to experiment. I don't think we know enough about what works at local level, state level, national level, global level. But we know that every community has their own skill set. Every community, based on the environment, has their own needs. You could be in a desert area, tropical jungle area, mining. You could be in a thriving metropolis. And what works in one doesn't work in the other one. So if you develop economic plan which is based on employment, education, health, environment, income generation, core competence of that area, core resources of that area, and then network and link so that everyone is not looking for investment from abroad. Today, every state in India is looking at investment from abroad. All these chief ministers go outside to foreign countries looking for investments. Nobody says Bihar can go looking for investment in Gujarat, in Maharashtra. We can go looking to Kerala for health services. So you need completely new thinking, and that new thinking can come only if we create prototypes. Now is the time to create prototypes for district level development, bottom up approach. And through this district level prototype, we could learn from our mistakes and build a whole new idea of prosperity for people at the bottom of the economic pyramid. Those who are rich and well off has already figured it out. They know what to do. They'll be all on AI. They'll be all on robotics, automation. They'll milk the system. They'll build big airports and big train stations and big factories, and they'll all do all that. But unless and until people at the bottom of the economic pyramid think about creating their own prosperity, looking for a job is not going to be an answer in the future. Creating jobs of your own will demand new thinking, new way of looking at economy. And that's going to be the challenge going forward. So to me, new economy is all about experimenting with new ideas, creating new prototypes. We had this idea of Narega, which worked, but the money had to come from the top, unfortunately. We have this idea of minimum guaranteed income. But all of these ideas basically relate to taking asset from one place and giving it to the other place, as opposed to saying every place should create their own community assets, whether it is a check dam or food that is farming or services. Tourism is one service, or their own production, handicraft, art and craft, music. In the process of globalization, we have forgotten localization completely. Every once in a while, I wind up listening to some folk music by accident, and I get so impressed. And I said, my God, what a talent. You look at some of the songs from Kabir written 500 years ago, and you said, what a poetry, you know. And we have forgotten all that. Nobody pays attention to it. And what you listen to is garbage, you know, is some slang, some useless poetry, because that is what is sold. Okay. So we need to revive some of the good stuff that we have left behind. And that can only come if we focus on localization. So at the end, I'd like to sort of summarize this by saying we don't have answers, but it is prototype, time to prototype new economic models at local levels. And then make sure that these things are scalable. If prototype is not scalable, one of a kind doesn't help. You need scalability, you need sustainability, you need affordability, and you need to create innovative ideas and approaches to really create new employment, new opportunities for people to earn, to live comfortable life. It is possible with the technology and tools we have, but we have to be very careful that new technology does not become a new way of colonizing the world. I am worried that AI could become a new tool to colonize. To some extent, social media has become a new tool to colonize. And we don't even understand that. We think it is great to be on social media, but we don't understand that it is some kind of a colonization going on, that your mind is being controlled, configured by somebody else. You have lost control of your mind. You can't think based on your local needs and local conditions. You think based on what social media is teaching you from somewhere else. And this is a pretty serious matter. I don't think people are paying attention to this. Okay. If it is viral, you all want to get involved and listen to it. But what is viral? Who made it viral? Why is it viral? Is it relevant to what we do? Is it relevant to our culture, our language, our music, our people? I don't know. And these are the questions I want to ask going forward. Saying, how do we look at economy in new light, where it benefits everybody and not few? I am very, very worried about AI and robotics and automation as a new way of colonization of a different type. Social media has already happened. Okay. Social media has colonized in a new way and captured your mind and imagination. And people are very happy with it. And they are singing songs and dancing all over, saying what a great thing. But they are not realizing how they have been captured. People spend 8, 9, 10 hours on social media. I mean, that means you're a prisoner, you're a slave. Somebody has captured you. Okay. It's a new kind of slavery. Enjoy it, but think about it. think about it very seriously as to is this the kind of world you want to live in? And I think we collectively need to think about new economic model, bottom up development, and lots of people have talked about it. I will try to get our friend Arun Maira, who is very good at this, and I'll request Arun to come and talk to us, and he will throw more light on some of these things. And he has really written a lot, thought about it much more than I have, and I'm sure we'll benefit from his talking to us. I'll try to get him next week if he's available. Thank you, and we can open up for a conversation.
Thank you, sir, for that interesting take. And absolutely, you are right. Social media has taken overpowered our lives. We don't even know, like 7 to 8 hours. Like myself, like I can give my experience, busy with social media of all sorts. So, absolutely, it's a eye opener, and we need to think about like where this is going. So thank you for that. So the first question is from Faisal Hassan. He's asking basically how can the new economic models be redesigned to focus on human well-being, environmental sustainability, and ethical purpose.
Faisal, thanks for the question. I think it has to start in the local community, Faisal. Don't expect other people to worry about your environmental sustainability. Don't expect other people to worry about your community's well being, your village, your town, your school. Ethical purpose has to come from you and me and others. I'm not interested in, ethics in some other part of the world. Fine, they can do that. But I got to first worry about ethics in my neighborhood, in my family, in my friends, in my teacher, in my doctor. I think when I talk of localization, that is what I'm saying. That charity begins at home. If my community is not ethical, if my environment is not sustainable, if my people are not well, you know, what good is ethical purpose in Mongolia, let's say? Great. Mongolia people should worry about that. But this whole business of globalization has made us to think about the world and not about ourselves. Social media is a classical example. It tells you what is going on in the world, but you don't know what's going on on your street, in your family, because that's not part of the equation. So that's what I mean by saying they have captured your mind. Okay. And you think, and I think it is fashionable to talk about global issues and not local issues. There is hardly any conversation on local issue. Local papers don't exist. Okay. So it's an important question, Faisal. But I think we have to really look at local issues and solve these problems locally. Next.
Thank you, sir. The next question is from Madhavan Nagender. He's asking the primary challenge facing Indian economy is the rampant crony capitalism, which undermines economic health and distorts fairness and limits equal opportunities for all entrepreneurs. So, what's your take on this?
We all know that. I mean, this is not a, um, sort of profound statement. We all know that there is crony capitalism everywhere, not just Indian economy. It is here too. It is in every country. Okay. And that's what happens when you have top-down approach. And that's why we are talking about bottom-up approach. Okay. And if you want economic health, fairness, equal opportunities, you got to worry about local considerations. Okay. You got to worry about local issues. Yeah. Crony capitalism will continue. I'm telling you, it's not going to go away. Okay. So, Nagendra, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you that challenge is that in Indian economy there is crony capitalism, but I would say in every economy there is crony capitalism. Yeah. Next.
Uh, so Kiran Kumar, his comment is he's supporting the bottoms up approach, but then he's concerned about the migration, which uh, happens from the rural areas to the big cities. Um, the people.
Migration is definitely a big, big challenge. And I agree with Kiran that lots of people have migrated to urban areas because it is top down approach. So the opportunities are in urban areas and not in rural areas. If you have bottom up approach, there'll be opportunities in rural areas. People will not move to urban areas, or less people will move to urban areas. Today, migration is a big, big challenge in India. People are not paying attention. Look at the number of people who migrate from one state to another state. Forget about rural to urban. I mean, people go in a state where they don't speak the same language, they don't know anybody, and they just live like a foreigner because they are looking for jobs. People from UP, Bihar come to South India, and then they form their own ghettos or, you know, places to live, and they have their own ecosystem. I don't blame them, because they need comfort, they need security. Okay. And they are not comfortable living in urban areas. They come from rural areas. So all of these are major challenges. Okay. So if you create local opportunities, less people will move to bigger cities. But how do you do that? Who is going to start that? How are you going to experiment? Where is the first round of funding going to come from? Local banks should say that I will put 80% of my deposits in local area. So today, let's say there's a local bank and poor people do a little bit of saving. Poor meaning, uh, rural people do a little bit of saving. That money probably goes to fund that project in urban area. That money doesn't go to fund the project in rural area. Okay? Because nobody gives loan to a small entrepreneur. They would rather give loan to a big construction guy who wants 50 crore, because in one shot you can do business, look good on paper that you have already given 50 crores, and everybody's happy. Okay? So when you go to localization, you have to create new requirements which says all local savings should be used for local development. May not be all, but some large portion. Okay? But you got to start that prototype somewhere. There is no prototype today that I know of. Next.
Um, so Perry Kannan, he's concerned with the, like, he's asking agrarian economies all over India have survived. So it must be much easier and better with localized economy, technology, and service survival. Most people do not need to live in big cities except for healthcare needs. So it
No, no,
just is.
healthcare also can now come to smaller cities because the healthcare system is going to change with technology. Okay. So we really need to create new model. That's all I'm saying. And it's better to live in a, you know, clean air, more space in rural area than, you know, fill these slums in urban areas. A lot of people leave their villages, comfort with family, and go work in urban areas in a very poor working conditions, living conditions. They don't like it, but they need something to do, something to earn. Okay. So I agree, Perry.
Thank you, sir. So the next question is on social media. So Vishwanath
Yeah.
is saying that we are all as you mentioned, captured by social media. So unless there is some regulatory, mechanisms that are firmly implemented, it won't be possible. And he's giving example of his school days, where there used to be two shops in one corner of the village where few used to drink and act in funny ways. But with the internet driven data, consumption of intoxicated and crores of people are masking the useless brains. So how can, basically the question is, how can we come out of this vicious circle?
I think we have to learn to discipline ourselves. Let's not blame the world. I always start by saying problem is here. Problem is never there. Okay, I am the problem. I got to fix it. If I fix it, things will begin to look different. So if I decide that I'm not going to spend more than an hour on social media every day, doesn't matter, what happens in the rest of the world. I will stick to my goal that I'm ready to devote 1 hour of my time to social media, and that's it. Every 5 seconds, I'm not going to check my phone to see if there is a message. I don't do that. I probably have 600 messages I haven't even read, but I really don't care because I can't humanly do this. I mean, I'll just show you. You look at my stuff, it just goes on and on. These are the messages I have not even seen because I'm not capable of seeing.
Hmm.
Okay, a lot of people complain. What can I do? Okay. I don't want to be glued to my phone. I read newspaper, you know, I walk, I go out to pick up my mail, I go out to throw my garbage, you know, and I feel that as part of my job, you know, and I don't want to be slave to phone calls, messages, social media because humanly it's not possible. A lot of people send me saying, "Oh, have you watched this? Have you watched that?" No, I have not watched it. Okay, you don't even know about this. Yes, I don't know about this. It's okay, you know. So what do? I got to discipline myself and not blame somebody else saying, "Oh, look at this. I'm hooked for 10 hours because somebody else is, asking me to be hooked up for 10 hours." No way, you know.
So do you also think that, the monetization policies of these media, like Twitter,
No, that we
Facebook?
have talked many times. There are two really issues in social media, and I've said it for last maybe 20 years publicly. One, unauthenticated behavior. You cannot have multiple accounts. You cannot have accounts which are fake. So a lot of these people who attack you are all fake accounts. They're not real people. They could have some strange name and they'll attack you. Okay. They are hiding behind fake account. So one social media company must authenticate an account saying, I am Sam Pitroda. This is my ID and I'm the only Sam Pitroda. Okay. But today I can have Sam Pitroda 1, Sam Pitroda 2, Sam Pitroda X, whatever. Okay. Two, that I must take responsibility for what I say. And if I say something which is wrong and rumors and all, I should be in some way penalized. Okay. So today, social media encourages rumors because it gets more clicks. So they want more clicks and more registration. That is what monopolies are all about. These monopolies are deciding that. Nowhere government have been able to introduce regulation saying unauthenticated behavior will not be tolerated. Do that, you know.
Absolutely, sir. Also, and there is a scheme now for payouts. Like even like if your reel or a tweet is viral, they pay you because you generate that kind of revenue. Like it's a give
Yeah,
and
but the
take. So I
tweet
think,
could be viral and tweet could be fake. Tweet could
yeah.
be misinformation. Tweet could be hurting somebody. Tweet could be, you know, not in the public interest. So they encourage it.
Mm,
And that is what I mean by another way of colonizing.
absolutely,
I
sir.
hate to use word colonization for this,
Mm,
but I think it at least conveys the idea that you are captured by somebody. You are a slave of a different type. Earlier you worked in their homes and your time was spent in cleaning or cutting their grass or whatever. Now you are consuming their information, but you are hooked. They control your time. You are a slave to social media company for 8 hours a day. And what do you get from it? Would you not rather spend 8 hours with your community and help older people? Clean your street? Make sure you clean water? No. I mean, you look at per district, if there are 2 million people, of which let's say 1 million are working people, and if they are spending 6 hours a day on social media, look at the amount of manpower we are spending on what? Useless stuff. Can this manpower be used to clean our well, purify our water, paint our school building, fix bathroom of our school children? Okay. No, nobody wants to do that. Okay. I told you earlier, probably whether in this group or some other group, that if I was a father of a young girl going to school in Indian school, I would personally go and visit bathrooms of my children in school and fix it myself. When I became chairman of Telecom Commission in India, the first thing, I enter my office and there is big ceremony and flower and all that
mm,
stuff. And I had office on the second floor. I go to my office and within 10 minutes, a guy comes in and says, "Sir, this is the key to your bathroom. There's a separate bathroom for the chairman." I said, "I don't want that key. I want to use public bathroom." He said, "No, no, no, sir. There is a special bathroom for chairman, which is clean and all." I said, "No, I don't want to use that bathroom. I want to use public bathroom because I want to make sure that that bathroom is as clean as the chairman's bathroom." It was a chaos. Okay. Nobody believed that I would do that. I said, "You can open my bathroom for public." Okay. All of a sudden, you see bathroom next to me, which is public bathroom,
mm.
is cleaner. Then I said, "Look, I want to go to floor by floor, all the bathrooms." So this is how people think, you know. And for that, you don't need foreign investment. You don't need, technology expertise. You don't need joint venture to clean your bathrooms. Okay. But the guy outside would be watching social media,
Hmm.
not doing his job. See,
True, sir. Absolutely. So before we end, I'll take the last like a comment comes question. It's about small loans from banks in rural areas.
I agree.
So Srinivas is saying he's from Telangana. Local
I
people
agree,
face.
Srinivasan. I agree that this is a major problem. Yeah.
So it is
And that's why
possible.
you don't create jobs because little people don't get support they need. And this is what localization is all about. But you start a plant for some, 1,000 crores, and all banks will join and give you 1,000 crores. But they won't give 50 lakhs to a local guy. Absolutely true. You know,
So how do you like you we mentioned about those coherent islands even in the last session for the new economy. John mentioned that, and right now also you touched upon funding in the new economy. So Do you think the bottoms up approach will also, resolve this issue of funding? Because
Of course, no,
many,
that has to be part of the package.
okay,
That has to be part of the package. Like I said earlier, local banks must fund. Hello?
yeah, yes, I can
Okay,
hear you.
sorry. I said local banks must.
God. Sorry, I think there is some technical issue.
Priyamada, did we lose him?
I think yes. I think he. Should I? Yeah, I think he's joined back.
Okay. All right. Let me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry,
He's back.
somehow something happened and I got disconnected.
Yeah. I know that's fine, sir.
No, I said local banks must provide funding to local small entrepreneurs. When we talk about localization, we are talking about all of that package together. So, if you want, we can continue this conversation. I'll try to get Arun Maira next time if he's available and if he agrees. He would be very good at this. Okay. And he would throw some more light.
Yeah. Absolutely, sir. We should continue on this topic
Okay.
because it's the evolving topic, and the
Okay.
more we
We'll do that.
interact. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So thank you, sir. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
everybody. I hope it was useful.
Yes, sir.
I just talk without
Yeah,
thinking
sir.
too
It's
much.
always interactive and it's
So
useful.
I hope,
Yeah. Be
you
rest
accept
assured.
some mistakes I make on and off. So bear with me.
No,
Okay.
sir. Thank you, sir. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
your.
Premada. Thank you, Upendra. And thank you,
Thank
everybody,
you,
for
everyone.
joining.
Yeah.
Really
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.